This type of tenancy terminates immediately upon notice from either the lessor or the lessee. Now notice I have the lessor and the lessee highlighted in yellow. And the reason is those are key real estate terms. Now, anytime you see a real estate licensing exam question, you have to break it down into its components. So number one, definition, define the terms. What does tenancy mean? Tenancy is that landlord-tenant relationship. And lessor is the name or the legal term for the landlord or property manager, and the lessee is known as the tenant. So let's rephrase the question once we've defined what the terms are. This type of relationship terminates immediately upon notice from either the landlord or the tenant. And your choices: A, tenancy at sufferance; B, tenancy at will; C, tenancy for years, or sometimes called estate for years, depending on how the test question is phrased; and D, periodic tenancy, also known as tenancy from period to period. So pause this video and see what answer you came up with. And the correct answer is B, tenancy at will. Now, one of the things I like to do is go over the correct answer and why it's the correct answer, and then why the incorrect answers are not the correct answer. So let's take a look at tenancy at will. Now, tenancy at will, the root here is at will, right? So in this type of landlord-tenant relationship, either the landlord or the tenant at any time can give notice, and that notice immediately terminates their relationship, and the tenant would have to move. That's called tenancy at will. Let's look at A, tenancy at sufferance. The root word here is sufferance. That means someone is suffering, whether it's the landlord or the tenant, depending on the situation. So if the tenant is not paying the rent, or the tenant gave notice, or the landlord gave notice, and the tenant didn't move, and so they're still living in the property beyond the expiration date of the lease agreement, that means the landlord is suffering. So it's tenancy at sufferance. The other way it could potentially be in a constructive eviction situation is where the landlord isn't holding up their end of the bargain, and the tenant has actually terminated the lease legally under constructive eviction, and now the tenant is suffering. The point is with this particular one is it is someone within that relationship, the landlord or tenant, they are suffering because of the actions or inactions of the other party. And by the way, one thing you need to know is tenancy at sufferance is the least desirable of all four of these tenancy situations. Let's look at C, tenancy for years. Now, sometimes this gets misconstrued by students, and it's misunderstood because that term years is in there. The thing you have to know about tenancy for years or estate for years is simply it means that this lease agreement has a fixed expiration date, a fixed date that lease agreement expires. It can be for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, 24 months. It doesn't matter the term. It simply means that it ends on a very specific date. All right. And then D, periodic tenancy, or sometimes called tenancy from period to period. That just means that it renews after the period has expired. So the most common is month to month, where a month to month lease agreement, unless the landlord or the tenant gives notice, it automatically renews the next month or the next period. Now, if it's a periodic quarterly tenancy situation, then that means that it's with proper notice or each quarter, then the lease agreement is reaffirmed and it starts over again. And it still would require the landlord or the tenant to give proper notice at the end of that period for the lease agreement to expire. So A, B, C, and D, all four of those are legitimate key real estate terms that you have to know for your real estate licensing exam. But B is the correct answer for this practice test question. Well, that's it for today's practice test question. If you're going to continue studying, check out this video right here. And if you have not subscribed to this channel yet, please do so. Click the little circle to my left. I would appreciate it. I'll see you in the next video.